And welcome back to another episode of the Black Watch Report. I am your host, Thorn Rain. With me, as always, my co-host, Mr. Kyle Wynn. How you doing this evening, sir?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's just weird days still. I don't know, man. Like I'm having to still keep track of calendar days just based on literally this podcast. Like, okay, how many days am I from podcast recording day? Like it's the only way I can keep track of days anymore.
Yeah,
Uh it's a bit weird, man. It's a bit weird.
because you're like on like full blown lockdown out there.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
nobody out.
I mean, still some essential people are allowed to do their essential jobs, but like I am very far from like my whole field is non-essential.
Mm,
So I've got no work to be doing, and we went on. We still go on like walks here and there, just to get some vitamin D and not like get depressed about forever being inside. But like for the most part, man, yeah, I'm on lockdown. Basically, it's definitely some weird, wild stuff. Yeah.
yeah, Ohio got put on shelter in place on
Mhm.
Sunday, but my company was deemed essential because we provide parts to other companies that were deemed essential. So we're part of that, special supply chain that still has to go into work. So I'm uh I'm still working. My kid's still working, which is good. He's digging it. He's making a bunch of extra money cuz they're getting like hazard pay and stuff like that.
That's like
But
the only industry that's actually growing right now and is actually just hiring people is
yeah,
the retail
all of
grocery
the
places.
grocery stores around here are like need help, and like it's kind of inflated because after everything goes away, a lot of those jobs will probably go away because they won't
Yep.
need people. But
Yeah.
if you're laid off and you want to work and not collect unemployment, go to a grocery store because they're all hiring right now.
Oh yeah.
But this is not a grocery
Unemployment.
economics in the coronavirus age. This is a Overwatch Path to Pro podcast, so we're going to talk about some contenders matches. But as always, our news is sponsored by our Patreons. Head over to patreon.com/blackwatchreport. Sign up to become a Patreon. You can sponsor our news, just like our first one up here. None other than Mr. Thugly. Thank you so much, Thugly, for the sponsor. Kyle, take us away on this little bit of news going around the coronavirus in contenders.
So this was a bit weird, and we kind of felt a little bit of it because right around the time that all the casters were supposed to head to Germany to cast at the Take TV Studios, who is helping kind of run the production for contenders this year, at least for the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the
NA and
West, as
EU.
it's called. Yeah,
Yeah.
the non-KR pack kind of places. Um, we saw I think Ham hadn't quite made it yet.
Yep.
One or two other people also hadn't made it all the way over, and so the casting duos were a bit goofy in terms of like I think Leg Day was casting everything with sometimes Trid, sometimes Lemon Kiwi, so it got a
Yeah.
little bit wacky. But now I think Trid is officially out because they basically are having to cast everyone remotely, so from home. So anyone who can cast from home will. Anyone who cannot won't. So I think Trid is out now. I don't remember who Trid's casting partner was, but I think there's just going to be some shifts here and there. Expecting more kind of wackiness, I guess.
Yep. It should get a little interesting with the way that they set it all up, but I mean, that's currently the world we live in where
Hmm.
everybody is quarantined or shut down. So, but that's really the only C news that we got. So, Kyle, why don't you tell us a little bit about what the rebellion's up to?
Yeah, so we knew that they had let go of Chain and of not Carter, Tanner. I always get those two
Yep.
mixed up. Um, and we were kind of wondering what happened with them. We have more on Chain in a little bit, but not sure what's happening to Tanner yet. But what we do know is that they instead picked up in their place Shockwave from Square One, a player that we actually gave some
We,
pretty high praise.
yeah,
I
we
think
pumped him up.
last week we
Yep.
chatted about him and we're quite stoked on his Doomfist. And then Numlocked from Ricky Tikki Tavi Esports, more notably from Team Envy and Valiant before. But Well, I guess we'll talk a little bit about some results on whether or not that worked out for them.
So, as the coronavirus wipes out humanity on the streets, the path to pro wipes out academy teams.
Yeah.
We lose another one. Atlanta Academy announced that they are officially pulling out of contenders. Still no word on where a lot of those players are going. We do know that their spot for this week was just forfeited and a bye was given. So that's kind of a crappy situation for the teams heading up from trials. We could have potentially had another trials team, but yeah, man, Atlanta Academy, like we had a lot of high hopes considering the way they played last year going into this season. They kind of had a rough season. They weren't doing too hot, and I mean, I just think that with the way everything is going financially in the world again, like I hate to bring it up again, coronavirus is just kind of wrecking everything. Like, and if you
Yeah,
have
people
an
are
endeavor that
gotta.
is losing money to
Mhm.
support it, you don't want to lose more money supporting it. So sucks.
Especially in the early half of the year too, because
Yeah.
Atlanta for the Overwatch League team, like they're fine for the year. Like they don't need new talent yet. They
Yep.
are doing just they have an abundance of talent. We're like, okay, well, who do they run? Sharp Edison. Doesn't really matter. They'll pound with either. Oh, they also run Baby Bay and still kind of pound. Like, okay, cool. Like it doesn't really. They're not like, oh god, we got to keep that academy team going, or else we're not gonna have options after the midseason. Like, no, they're fine. Um, but like this team is costing money and they're not bringing in much money.
Yep.
So you got to cut costs to keep everything kind of floating. And it sucks to see, but like, dude, that is the world we're living in. It's like, if it's non essential, it gets cut down. And like, Overwatch League teams are the only essential esports, teams right now in the Overwatch scene. And so it's the way it's got to be, unfortunately. But I'm hoping that we get it back at end of the season and get it
Yes.
back next season. I think it'll be
Yes.
still fine for the Atlanta org as a whole.
The 2020 season two, maybe we see him come back in for that.
Hmm.
But yeah, it just sucks.
So Sky Foxes. This was a weird trade, man. I think this is probably some personnel based kind of like this person didn't work well with the team, so let's swap them away with another main tank, and then it ended up kind of biting one of the teams in the butt, which was kind of
Mm-hmm.
funny. Um, Sky Foxes trade away Mikey. Uh, no, I thought it was the opposite. No, yeah, yeah. It because Noble had Panker, and
Mm-hmm.
so Mikey from Skyfoxes goes to Noble in return for Panker, who's now on Skyfoxes. Um, and it's I think Mikey posted a bit of a salty post about winning trials. Did he win trials? Yeah. Well, spoiler alert, but whatever. Skyfoxes did not do quite well. They got knocked out in their first round as well. So it's like a bit unlucky when one team very clearly succeeds and one team clearly doesn't. It's like when we had the Rogue Misfits Luminosity three-way trade, and like Luminosity got absolutely shafted when you got the French Rogue, which was insane back
Yep.
in the day. Like it was just like one team immediately benefiting from a trade.
But then we got Chain. We kind of announced, him moving away from Montreal Rebellion earlier. Chain ends up on this Maryville Saints. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to be able to show you guys because I didn't set it up because I didn't think about it ahead of time. But I want you to go to Liquipedia and I want you to go to contenders and then click on week 2. And then you're going to look at the Saints' new logo and the Rebellion's logo. They're very close.
I didn't notice that. Holy
So
crap.
Chain goes from one winged logo with like
Red and black
yeah,
with some sort of sword-esque thing in the middle.
to another
Erecting towards
one.
Jesus Christ. Let me copy your homework, but like I'll switch a few answers around.
I'll put
Holy
a
crap.
halo on it. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of funny, but yeah, so Chain's heading over to the Saints. Saints have been looking good. Chain can only add to that, I feel like. So congratulations to Chain for staying up in Contenders. He's not having to go back down to Open or anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's always nice. Like
Yeah.
it's super frustrating when, like, especially when it's not the fact that they were like up to par. Like I think he maybe wasn't up to par. I mean, they brought in Numlock to turn the team around, but like he's not like a terrible player. Like he's constantly been in this kind of tier 2 realm. So having him go back down to Contenders again or to Open Division again, it's just kind of unfortunate for a player of his caliber.
Yep.
Um, and bro, dude, it keeps on coming, and they don't stop
This is
coming.
ridiculous. Like, I don't get it.
They keep picking up all of the former Overwatch players. If you don't already know who I'm talking about Lucky Future, man. This team now has like 7 or 8 former Overwatch League pros on their roster.
Yep.
It is wild. So right now, they just picked up Tizzy. They have Tizzy, Munchkin, Nuss, Attitude didn't play, Daco, Guido. So it's 5. And then Attitude was formerly of Sky Foxes, played a little bit there. So like, gosh, man, they are just collecting the 5 rings of power here, basically. And like this is a sick roster too. Like you've got just so many skilled players here. Um,
Yeah,
I'm surprised they aren't doing as good as they should be, I guess.
Where did they place?
After crap.
Grab that.
Go to week 1 here. I keep scrolling. Yeah, they got knocked out second round last week, or no, this week. They got knocked out second round. They 3-0'd BM, but they lost 3-0 to Element Mystic. So, growing pains.
Yeah.
We found with these rosters, like, you can't just plug and play 6 incredible players and expect it to just work. Like, you have to kind of massage the roster to kind of fit together better.
Let them get a feel for how each person plays, and then typically it'll swing back around. We've seen it happen before with, a bunch of big names landing on a roster and then them just crashing the first 2 weeks. But should be interesting to see how they play out for the rest of the season. But here's an interesting one. Dragon Eddy let go from some team that I don't know can't get out of trials. Uprising Academy. Sorry. They're just I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. Like, if we see another Academy team leave, it's probably going to be Uprising Academy, because they are doing far worse than Atlanta. And we saw what happened with Atlanta. So, yeah, Dragon Eddy leaving Uprising Academy. Don't know exactly what their plans are. So, definitely going to have to keep an eye on them and see what's going on with coming out of Boston.
Do we know Lethal left? We didn't. He's off the roster.
I don't even remember seeing an announcement.
On the 18th. 6 days ago.
So 6 days ago.
Missed that entirely. I guess I don't follow Uprising Academy on Twitter. Probably for a good reason, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, dude, like this is a roster I don't really care about. Like, I don't want to be like super mean about it, but like, bro, what have they like? It's just they haven't won anything. They're just doing terrible.
And
like,
it
they
doesn't
barely
seem
made
like
it.
They're trying to improve. Like,
no,
I don't know. It just feels wrong when it comes to the Uprising Academy.
I mean, how did they do in the seeding tournament? Knocked out immediately. Knocked out.
They were literally round 1 like losses in basically
they
everything
lost and then they
done.
lost.
Yep.
They have yet to win in a long time. What happened in Trials week 1 as well? Didn't they also get 3-0'd?
I believe so.
3-0'd by Karasuno. Week 2, 3-0'd by Noble. So
they're essentially the new bye week at this point. Like,
literally. Remember the era when there was like we were mind blown when a non-academy team took a win against an academy team when Last Night's Leftovers took down whoever it was.
Would even win a map.
Holy crap! Yeah, exactly.
And now it's just like we've got academy teams that are getting absolutely dumpstered constantly. Like, it's crazy. It's good. I like that the unsigned, like, budget. I don't want to say budget. That's mean. The unfunded teams are out here, continuing to do work. But man,
But it
Boston, do
does
something.
also reinforce the idea that academy teams are now not a good idea.
Yeah, true.
It's unfortunate as well.
Very
So,
true. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, that wraps up the news. There's not a whole lot else going on for this week, at least. We'll definitely have to see going into after this week is up. We're going to go into trials, and that's back to the home of the Uprising Academy. So we might have news on them next week. But let's roll down into the quick play. We're going to do this trials and contenders reviews. So we've got NA trials. Kyle, what were your predictions for the trials week?
So I had Montreal taking the Montreal Ascent matchup. Got that right. Montreal took them out 3-1.
Yep,
Uh,
we have these
SCU.
the same. Yep, so we're
Yes,
we're
the
the
whole
same.
bracket is exactly the same. So we both had Triumph also taking Simplicity down 3-1,
Yeah,
which they did.
we're doing pretty
2 for
good.
2. Good job. Third Impact over Phase 2. Got that. 3-0'd 'em. Good for
Yep.
you, Third Impact. We called that 3 for 3. Noble Boston Uprising Academy. 4 for
Easy.
4. You already know. 3-0'd.
We crushed the round of 12. Or
But now what we
8,
didn't
sorry.
quite expect was that Montreal would have this instant. I mean, we didn't know about this roster change last week, so there was no way for us to really know that, like, if they got Numlocked and Shockwave, like, I probably would have given him a little bit more benefit of the doubt now, and like,
Yep.
okay, this team is leveled up a little bit. And so we had Sky Foxes predicted to win here, and Montreal took them down 3-1. So there's our first bad pred, I guess.
Yep.
And then Revival Triumph. We both had Revival. Yeah. And Triumph were able to take that in the, fourth time that they've played each other this season?
Yep.
Basically.
Just continuing the dominance there.
Yeah, I love like going back and forth. I mean, we'll preview them in trials next, or in contenders next, which is even more funny. You've got Karasuno Third Impact. We both had Third Impact, and we got that correct 3-0. And then here's where things got a little bit weird. And this is probably partially why they may have dropped out. They didn't do this great. Atlanta Academy 3-1 by Noble. Noble moves on. We got that prediction wrong, so we went 6 for 8.
We got one right in the quarters, and that was just the third impact pick. So when we go into the semis, we only have one team left that we can hold hope on to. Yeah, and we'll talk about that right now.
So we would have had Revival third. No, who would be in the top? We were predicting Sky Foxes versus Revival, and instead we got Montreal versus Triumph. So we couldn't even guess that remotely right.
Nobody in there. So,
but Montreal took that 3-2.
Montreal's looking way better.
Definitely. So they're into the finals now, or they were into the finals. Third Impact Noble, we had Third Impact winning that one against Atlanta. But instead they played Noble and lost. So rip our Preds there. 3-1 Noble over Third Impact, leading to a Noble Montreal Rebellion Grand Finals.
No one but Noble and Montreal predicted that they would be in the finals. And Shrug. Shrug's
Did he predict that?
Well, he's a Noble fanboy, so I'm pretty sure he put Noble into the finals. So, yeah.
God, you're more right when you vote with your heart as opposed to with your mind at this point.
When it comes to trials and contenders, like, I really don't know how to predict anymore. We used to be pretty good. Like, we could get them almost spot on constantly. Now, no clue.
I think where my true prediction telepathy lies is not telepathy, but gigabrainness essentially is in players. I think that when we're looking at the 2020 Overwatch League season, the players I thought were gonna popped off. So that's where we're gonna really hold our stock. We're not gonna be able to predict every contenders matchup, but we know talent when we see it.
Basically, everyone that we put up high on our MVP list for rookies coming out of contenders have shown that they could be rookie of the year. So yeah, at this point, I'll take talent over teams because teams are way too hard now. So we've got the EU trials. Angry Titans fall to X Oblivious 3-0. Not in contenders beat what the heck is that name? Barcelona Manacores. Sorry, it's really, really tiny.
It's real tiny, yeah.
Vox Nihila fall to the Dreadlords, and then Clockwork Vendetta beat the Olympians 3-0. So that sets us up for HSL Esports to beat X Olympia 3-0. Young and Beautiful taking care of business, beating Not in Contenders 3-0. Nicky Ricky Esports win 3-0 over the Dreadlords. And then Samsung Morningstars falling to Clockwork Vendetta to round out the quarterfinals. So we've got HSL Esports going up against Young and Beautiful. Young and Beautiful take that 3-1. Nicky Ricky Esports, man, making a tear through this. 3-1, Clockwork Vendetta. I believe that's the third time Nicky Ricky Esports has beat Clockwork Vendetta. I believe it was Trials, Contenders, and then in this Contenders. I think they're up in that series. So that's going to give us Young and Beautiful versus Nicky Ricky Esports in the grand finals. Young and Beautiful take it 3-0.
Yep. EU has always been a little hard to tell, but we kind of knew that Niriki Esports was kind of the team with the most just name potential, basically. And so it doesn't surprise me. Young and Beautiful making it quite far, because I remember Young and Beautiful, they've been together for a long time. I mean, obviously they aren't all the same pieces, but I mean, they were up and down and having some issues and working things out. So that's always good to see. But like Niriki, it's got Facility, previous had Numlocked, you've got Zupe, you've got Skrippa, you got a lot of big names on this roster. Who did they bring in, actually? Oh, they brought in Chubbs as the main tank. Okay. And then, did we talk about Facility? Oh, yeah, becoming a cop, right? Because Cloud took his spot as well. Okay. Let's talk about KR Contenders, man. We've got matches to talk about from Korea now, dude. This is awesome. We actually got to watch one of them. We could have watched more, I think, but we only really wanted to cover the finals for this one this week. WGS Phoenix in the first round take the 3-1 over Batlika. Lucky Future takes the 3-0, as I mentioned previously, over Team BM. T1 takes a strong 3-0 over GC Busan Wave. Turns out Edison is a pretty integral part to this team, and they kind of fell apart without him. Meta Athena took the 3-0 loss against Oz Gaming. Runaway falls to WGS Phoenix in a bit of an interesting pick here. Element Mystic takes the 3-0 against Lucky Future. O2 Blast falling in a very close match to T1 in a 3-2. Gen G takes a 3-1 over Oz Gaming. And then you've got WGS Phoenix, who again did way better than we had anticipated, just based off of name power and previous roster potential and performance. Took the 3-0 over Element Mystic, which was a bit of a weird one to see. And then again, dude, this team is coming out of kind of nowhere with this slightly new roster. It's T1 took the 3-0 over Gen G, who Gen G was a roster that we knew to be pretty good previously because they didn't lose that many. They lost Glister, and that's about it. And Creative, I guess. But they still have Haim, Stalker, Wakid, Oberon, Wooyal, Someone, Bliss, and B9. So it's a pretty big roster, if you ask me. I mean, they also took down, the T1 also took down O2 Blast, which is, proper Pelican, Kaiser, Yakpung, Kalios, Neko, like, again, just huge players. And then grand finals. Let's talk about this one. It's not grand finals. It's just the finals.
Yeah.
Very, very strong 3-1 win for T1 over WGS Phoenix. We both watched this one.
Crazy.
Let's chat about WGS Phoenix first, I guess.
Yeah.
Because this roster, like, they kind of have this like Chengdu Huntersy kind of vibe where they love the Wrecking Ball, they love the Doom Tracer.
I like.
What are you gonna say?
I don't get the ball pick on this matchup. Like, we'll get into it, but like it wasn't working for me, and it clearly wasn't working for WGS Phoenix this time. I don't know. Like, I think that was based on the three maps that we were able to watch, it looked like ball was probably their biggest downfall. Um, just the way that it was being countered. I don't know if it was necessarily WGS's play on the ball, but yeah, wasn't looking too good with that strategy there.
Yeah. I mean, they when they weren't allowed to force that mirror matchup, or when they weren't allowed to play what they wanted to play, and they had to force the mirror matchup, they got kind of dismantled. When they kind of played the essentially a death ball. It's like New Goats, which the Reaper May, um, Rhine Diva, like it's essentially New Goats. Um, and it's they really wanted to lean on this Ball Doom Tracer comp, and it didn't really work out too great. Um, Dobie, D Dobie,
Yep.
um, really not a great start, especially on Li Zhang. He died twice, once on each stage first, um, which as a support dying first is not great, especially as the Brig who's outputting a lot of healing here. I think because both teams are also running the Zens, I believe, who are not healing as much. So when you lose that pretty essential piece early on, it's not a great sign. I don't know if that was
Uh,
necessarily on Dobie or if that was on a team rotation, not controlling the flanks. The Diva got distracted by being too aggro and couldn't peel and you know DM the damage he was taking. But like, still, as a team, that's not a good sign.
no. And on Lijiang, they start to turn it around on Night Market. It's the second point that they're going after. They start to turn it around. They actually flip the point and they take it. They're looking a little bit better, a little more confident, playing better. T1 comes in. WGS Phoenix literally do not engage until T1 is on the point, and then they're essentially getting point capture while playing a defense like
Yeah,
setup,
very death
and
ball kind of
they
vibe.
literally just took the point away. They just
They
walked
got
on and
polio.
said, "This is mine. Like, go away." And WGS handed him the point. It was crazy. You see it a couple times throughout the matchup where WGS, it was like they were afraid to engage, so they waited for the engage but gave too much uh, either cart push or time on point, and it just gave T1 the momentum to be able to slow pick off of that and not have to
Mhm.
even worry. They turned an attack into a defense like multiple times. It was crazy.
Yep. And then think, who's their main tank player, really playing a lot of Wrecking Ball, like we'd mentioned, but like playing against that Death Ball comp, he got stunned by the Brig,
Mm-hmm.
he got frozen by the May, got burned by the Reinhardt, Diva, May, um, and a Reaper especially, just got absolutely destroyed. And so like that was kind of the thing, like, dude, they're basically hard countering you. You need to find some other thing. But like the problem is they're not as well rehearsed on this mirror matchup. So they're getting hard countered by this and they can't even mirror it to do better. And they didn't quite have the comp to be able to, beat out that other comp. So it's just kind of like they were caught in a double bind here, unfortunately.
Definitely.
Um this DPS line of this team definitely is a bit of a shining light. Like this is maybe where they were able to carry in past matches, where they're able to win against Element Mystic and Runaway and Batlica. But I think Valentine's Doomfist very, very mechanically sound. When he was given opportunities to make plays, he made plays. But the problem was, I think it's just a coordination issue with this team fighting up against these true top tier rosters here. Um, As well, man, Aztac. We're gonna chat about his kind of opposite end on physics on the other team, but Aztac was landing huge bionades. But the reason why T1 did way better is because they were able to follow him up.
Yep.
WGS was not able to follow up those bionades and just couldn't. Like he was making the plays, he was trying his best. I think Pixie and Avril mentioned the Fleta deadlift with Aztec. Like, I don't think it's actually going to happen because it's hard to do that as a support. But like theoretically speaking, like that's kind of what he was doing. Like, I am doing what I need to be doing. What are y'all doing? Kind of a moment.
Yeah.
Um,
He was definitely setting up the kills.
yeah.
No one was going in and taking the kills. That was the issue.
He was tossing some underball tosses, underhand tosses to his teammates, but his teammates were like swinging and missing every time, every time.
Yep. So T1,
Um,
like
yeah, dude.
going from
So,
dominance as Fusion University, going
yep,
to Korea, getting
floundering.
absolutely destroyed, changing to T1, looking a little shaky, coming into this series.
Now,
Well, this bracket, this week's
yeah,
bracket.
what the thing that I want to kind of preamble this with is there was this great meme that Yiska put out, and it's the meme of the guy with the very ripped upper body and the really thin legs.
Yes.
The ripped upper body was nice and QOQ. The very thin legs were Zero-Ishious and 6 feet. Well, who got released 5 days ago? Zero-Ishious, 6 feet. Who did they bring in? Perfect. Fresh out
Yes.
of Atlanta Academy. Great player. Just was a Korean player in an all English speaking roster. Like a little tough. We thought he was high potential, and then Fixa, who I don't know, is pretty good.
I like him.
Um,
I'm digging him.
but like it just was like one of those teams where we see so many good teams in the past. Where it's like, they were doing really well, except for like they have a good players, but they're not meshing. They're not meshing, and then they just switch a couple of knobs here and there, and they're all of a sudden just incredible. It's like
Mhm.
when, oh god, what was the roster that Kareev used to be on? Kareev and Fate, um, Mighty AOD. Remember how terrible they were? And they brought over like 3 players from Mighty AOD into Immortals, and then Immortals was incredible because they just took the good players and got rid of the bad players. Like
Mhm.
that's kind of what this T1 roster did. Is they like you switch 2 pieces out and it just all kind of just mashes together, creates this perfect synergy. Um, and this is the team coached by Arhan too, which is kind of wild to see.
Yep.
It's just kind of interesting. Um, But man, nice, really, really good May play here. We knew he was good on the May before. We saw it a lot in the past. Really splitting off people, kind of doing the stuff that you're supposed to do as a May. You split off
Yep.
people if you can. Freeze anyone who's out of position. Set up your Reaper to do damage and let Perfect do just that. And he also was right clicking tracer heads.
Yep. And fun little fact about him, on Lijiang, he died twice. Once on Control Center, once on Night Market. That's it. And the
Yeah.
one time that he died on Control Center, it was literally in a grav with the whole team, and he popped his blizzard, and I think he still ended up getting a 3K in the process of him dying. So like
Yeah.
he's just absolutely insane when he plays on the May. It's nuts.
And then Ion here. Main tank we hadn't known too much of. I think he was on GC Busan. Yeah, he's on GC Busan Wave in the past. Was brought in at the start of the year to this roster. Really just kind of just bodying Think here. Um, Huge shatters, blocking big potential shatters, charges 2 or 3 off the map at the end of Eichenwald to kind of seal the deal there. Like obviously, like he kind of had it given to him because Think was on Wrecking Ball half the time, so like clearly wasn't an even matchup in terms of the Reinhardt. But like yeah, Ion just looked really really solid there. As did QOQ, who's a player that
Yeah.
we've this guy was on Runaway, looked great there. Was it Runaway or was it? I'm thinking of a different one. Yeah, no, it was on Runaway and MVP space before that. Really talented player as well. Super duper high charge on the Zarya. They played a lot of Ryan Zarya too, which was interesting to see, as well as some Zarya Ball, that's like a Korean specialty, man. I haven't seen any of that in any other matches we've seen thus far. Is the kind of like half dive, half kind of run at them comp. It's very different, but like I guess theoretically I can see how it makes sense and how it works out. It's just a new look. It's always interesting. Um, as well, QQ, he grabbed when it was needed the most. It was like always the highest impact. Like, okay, this is the one fight they got. Oh, he grabs 5. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Good job, man. Like that was his kind of ethos here with this match. And then lastly, like we talked about Aztac on WGS Phoenix. Um, Good Bionades, but no follow-up. Physics, whew. Bionades and follow-up. That's well it does. Like third map, they were having a little bit of trouble here and there. Um, Opening up Eichenwald or like saving Eichenwald, and sure enough, like big ante, big follow-up, Dunzo.
And then you got the other half of the new look support line for him, Fixa. We were talking a little bit about Think and kind of getting shut down on ball. One of the things that Fixa was doing playing the Brig is when you think about the Brig player, you think about the shield bash, just stunning and stopping. Fixa was landing absolutely insane whip shots constantly, consistently onto Think during like swing-ins and just throwing him off just enough of course to where he wasn't able to boop anybody out of place. He wasn't able to set up any of his pile drivers. And that was all coming off of the back of Fixa just hitting that boop. There was a couple times where he booped him literally to in front of Nice to get the freeze, which then everybody dove on him. Fixa was playing out of his mind on the Brig and not in the typical way that you would see. He was still getting the shield bash and the pre-fight rallies and everything like that, but real clean with his whip shots. I would like to see if that continues, if that's something that he might be a little more adept to displacement of people with the whip shot. I think it's a little bit, it's new for the Brig because I remember seeing it used, just not so much to the point that it was noticeable that it was changing the outcomes of fights. So
Yeah.
Fixa, good pickup for T1. I'm digging it.
Definitely. Moving down into our trials preview here for KR contenders, and then our contenders preview. Or no, for KR trials. Excuse me, guys. This is so confusing.
Yeah,
We're on off weeks here.
the only one that's different, I think, is Korea, where they're on trials, and everybody else is on contenders.
So Team BM is fighting off against Looking for Spot, I think, or something like that. Balaka is facing off against Top Honor. GC Busan Wave facing up against Bravos Gaming. Metathena and Bounce Flamer facing off. Meanwhile, you've got O2 Blast, Lucky Future, Runaway, and Oz Gaming coming in at the higher seeds, playing the winners of those previously mentioned matches. Now, kind of where we get to chat, drop our predictions, be wrong again, but hopefully not be that wrong. NA contenders.
I'd like to get close to the finals this time.
Yes, we have all but one pick the same here again. And this is again the flip of the week, man. This is always the flip of the week because we always know these two teams are going to play against each other, and every time they kind of flip it every time. So I always find that to be the funniest matchup. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Do you want to kind of run these down and talk about?
Yeah, I'll run these down. So we've got Montreal Rebellion versus the Sky Foxes. Both of us taking Montreal on this one. And then the next matchup, we've got Noble versus Karasuno. Pretty easy here. Karasuno was looking solid in the beginning, but Noble has kind of stepped it up, so we're both giving it to Noble. And then I'm going to jump down. I'm going to do Third Impact, just getting the bye because that was Atlanta spot. So Third Impact is going to jump right up to face off against Envy. But that matchup that me and Kyle are talking about kind of being the one that we always look forward to, and that's Triumph versus Revival. Kyle, he's giving it to Revival. I'm giving it to Triumph. We're splitting it this week. I really hope that this is the matchup in the first set of in the round of 12 that we get to watch, because
I also would be fine with Montreal Sky Foxes.
That would be a good one.
Actually, no, Sky Foxes has dropped off a bit, haven't they?
A little bit, yeah.
Give me Triumph Revival. Give me Ooh, God, any of these next ones are good. I feel like Montreal second one would be pretty good.
Montreal second one would be good. Noble Square one could be decent. Either
Yeah.
one, Triumph Revival versus Maryville, because I'd like to see if Maryville can continue.
Yeah, was that a fluke or was it
Yep,
consistency? Like, is that just an improvement? I would love to see that. I think once we get this match out of the way, then
we'll
we can
know
kind of
where
lock them
they
down
sit.
one way or the other.
Yep.
Whether it was just like a one-off or this like team is really the real deal.
And you always know that Third Impact Envy, that's gonna be a great matchup.
Oh yeah.
So anything coming out, potentially coming out of the quarterfinals, is going to be pretty good. So the way we have it going, let's see. We have Third Impact clearly moving on. So then Second Wind versus Montreal for both of us. We have that going to Second Wind. Square One going up against Noble. We have that going to Square One. Maryville versus either one of the teams. We both have that going to Maryville. This is where everything's goes back to the same. Envy beating Third Impact, so that's going to give us Second Wind versus Square One, kind of a rematch, I believe, from this week. We're giving that to Second Wind, and then Envy versus Maryville Saints. Got to give it to Envy.
Yeah, that's
And
a
like
dicey
it,
match.
it feels rough considering the way it went. No, Envy didn't have to play in trials. I was thinking of somebody else.
No,
Um,
yeah, no.
and then that's going to give us the Second Wind versus Envy rematch from week 1. But we're going to split the series. Me and Kyle both giving it to Envy because it's like UFC. Give us the three-peat. We need the third match. We need to see who's best. So Envy's going to take this week, and then we'll get a rematch for the third time in the next set of contenders. Calling it now.
I'm down. I'm here for it. I think for Envy, it's dicey because I don't want to let that idea go that they are now the best team and that they are now this kind of like crowning glory of the Academy teams. Like they are the last bastion of hope for the Academy system. Also, we've had Shu on twice, and he's like the nicest dude ever, and you just want your friends to do well. So
I want him to get that title. I do.
Definitely. Definitely. But yeah, let's get Envy in the grand finals. Moving on into EU contenders, literally is happening right now. I should probably actually refresh and just read this straight from Wikipedia because I think
good to
that
me.
games have already happened from the last time I pulled
hold on.
the results at the start.
Before we get into EU contenders, breaking news 23 seconds ago, Square One announcing Phi joining the team on the DPS line. I do not know of this player. 18-year-old Hitscan, currently with TBA, part of Overwatch Team Germany, 2019. Okay. So, all right, Square One making moves.
Sure.
I see you.
I think because they had to fill the spot of Shockwave, so
yep.
I don't know who he is, so maybe Square One is not doing quite as hot as we gave him credit for. Maybe Noble takes him down this week. I actually might flip that. Have you already made the bracket? Have you already made the graphic? Because I might flip that.
I've already made the bracket, but I can change it.
No.
I was say because
I want to make you do more work, man.
I'm gonna tweet it out right now. Okay. That way it's out, and I don't have to hear anything that we put it out late.
True.
So run us through EU now that I've got that breaking news out of the way.
So EU, we haven't gotten any new matchups yet. So I'll just read off of. Actually, no, just literally refresh, and I think it literally just finished. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, for all the matches of today are now done because I think they're literally starting NA right now. So Clockwork Vendetta taking the 3-1 over Samsung Morning Stars. Dreadlords taking the 3-0 over Niriki Esports. Unlucky. Numlocked was apparently important. X Oblivion taking the 3-1 over HSL. Young and Beautiful 3-0ing, not in contenders. Moving up, we have British Hurricane 3-0ing Clockwork Vendetta, expected. Sheer Cold taking down Dreadlords 3-0. X Oblivion taking down Eternal Academy. A bit of an interesting
That was interesting
flip up there. I put some good stock into Eternal, but maybe not now. Shoes Money Crew losing out 3-2 to Young and Beautiful. That was the match that literally just finished. So now we've got starting tomorrow, um, well, I guess a little over a day and a half, it seems, almost 2 days from now. British Hurricane, Sheer Cold facing off, and then Ex Oblivion, Young and Beautiful facing off. So pretty good matchup. I'm thinking I'm giving it British Hurricane in the end again against Young and Beautiful. But
I could agree with that. British Hurricane over Young and Beautiful.
so
Yeah, I'll agree with you there.
we are agreeing.
Let's see. I believe that's everything for this week.
I think so.
We're
I think
getting
we're
ready.
just about a less than an hour, but we're right at the good time, man. Right at the happy time.
Right at the happy time. And we're getting ready to roll right into this week's North American Contenders. We're essentially the pre-show,
Yep.
except for the fact that, Contenders EU is technically the pre-show. But we'll give it to them. We'll allow it because, there's actually players over there. So no speculation station this week. No community intel. So Kyle, where are you hanging out on the internet?
You can find me in a Minecraft server that I started running yesterday, so that's the thing I'm doing again. Yeah, we're back in, bro. That's what you do in the times like this. It's like, all right, boys, we're playing Minecraft.
You really gonna make
but
me
mostly
and
just-
Damien install Minecraft again?
Yeah, right. Twitter mostly. Kyle the Winner, hit me up there. I'll occasionally be posting some takes and reactions, but mostly just kind of liking and commenting on stuff. Discord as well. We're getting some stuff here and there, dude. This weekend, I think all of us are gonna be just chilling in chat, watching
Literally
actual Overwatch League matches
for 24 hours straight.
If you literally what else is anyone doing? Really? Like if you're not working, if you're like half of the country just chilling at home, dude, just turn it on. Like if you want to hop in chat and chat with everyone, dude, absolutely do. If you want to do some WoW raids or whatever, dude, just left monitor that. Throw it in your second monitor. Just keep the games up. Watch what's going on.
Yep.
Hoping we get some on ESPN, man, because that would be great. I'd love to see some. We heard rumors that, or not rumors. We saw that they were doing some NASCAR stuff, some NASCAR simulation races,
and boomers were loving it.
They were digging it, man. It's because they're sports, and
it was nuts.
Find out when you need to enjoy stuff, you will enjoy stuff.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, but you can find me over on Twitter at ThornRain. When I do some streaming, I've been playing some Overwatch with the guys from High Noon with my son. I do that right here on the Blackwatch Report Twitch channel. But if
it's a little toxic,
it's especially if my son's playing. You don't mind him. If we get into custom matches where we're all just kind of trying to play gun game, and I'm getting dumpstered and getting multiple Dragon Blades in one match and not getting any kills.
Junkrat sucks, dude. Holy crap! I've never played. I hate that hero.
We have a pretty good time when we play though. But yeah, it does get toxic. So that is not PG. That's not clean. When I stream, it's not clean. But if you are an audio listener, head over to Twitch, hit that follow button. If you happen to have Amazon Prime, you've got Twitch Prime. You can hit that subscribe button. Absolutely free. Help out the show. If you want to help out even freer, you can leave us a review. iTunes podcatcher of choice. Send us a screenshot of anything outside of iTunes, and we'll read that on the show. We'll give you shout outs. We shout out all of the new follows, subscribers, and reviewers. We do appreciate those. But you can find the show right here on Twitter at Blackwatch Report. No O in that report. You can email the show, blackwatchreport@gmail.com, and follow the show on Twitch at twitch.tv/blackwatchreport. We record live Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, and our intro music is an original piece by our own Mr. Kyle Wynn. This has been a High Noon production. You can find all of our shows over at highnoonpodcast.com and come and chat on that Discord Kyle that was talking about over at discord.me/highnoonpodcast. And with that, Blackwatch out.